You drink seltzer or you have the coffee?
Yeah, I'm gonna have this. Yeah.
You might take coffee. What are we learning?
So we're gonna speak a few.
Even cold. Even without cold.
Sorry?
Even without cold.
Yeah. So we're gonna speak different short things.
First chapter of Michael is excellent and we love him.
Okay. What's your name?
Sasson Azar.
Zajac.
Sasson Azar.
Zajac. Okay. Yeah. We're ready to start or not?
Huh?
What time are we starting?
No.
Now? Okay, so we're gonna speak just a few different interesting halachas that are connected with Pesach. It seems like no one's on, so no one's on. Okay.
They will come.
We record anyway. People will come on eventually.
Okay.
Come later.
So yeah, we'll speak different things, different short things on Pesach. So we'll start like this. There's one of the mitzvahs on the Pesach, on the night of Pesach, is Sipri Yitzias Mitzrayim. Is the mitzvah is a chiyuv to discuss and tell over the story of Yitzias Mitzrayim. Now the thing is, there's actually a mitzvah every single day, right, to mention Yitzias Mitzrayim.
Difference in Seder.
Right, that is learned out from the pasuk. Every day of your life. And so in addition to that, there's another pasuk we learned. It says and from this pasuk we learn out. And from this pasuk we learn out that there's a chiyuv on the day that bavur zeh, that you're sitting in front of these specific items, which we learn out is talking about the night of Pesach. Now, we say in Agada, right? We say Yacham Reish Chodesh. So this is discussing the chiyuv of Sipri Yitzias on Pesach, right? We said there's a chiyuv every day, and then there's the chiyuv on Pesach. And the Haggadah discusses, says Yacham Reish Chodesh. I could have thought that this pasuk that's referring to Pesach, to speak about Yitzias Mitzrayim, is discussing, is being mechayiv to speak about Yitzias Mitzrayim from already Reish Chodesh. And it goes down to say, no, you have to do it on the day of the Haggadah goes on to say that the pasuk is talking about in the day of Pesach, the day of the carbon Pesach, and then he goes on to say not just the day of the carbon Pesach, but the night when you actually eat the Pesach. So from now we learn out that on the night of Leil Tezvav, the day after you bring the carbon Pesach, and that night you eat it. When you eat it, you have a chiyuv to be mesaper, to speak about Yitzias Mitzrayim. Okay. Just
two kabbalas.
Sorry?
There are two kabbalas.
Yeah, there's a chagiga.
The carbon chagiga.
There's a
the carbon Pesach.
Correct. Yes, the carbon chagiga, carbon Pesach, which you bring on the day, and the Yom Yudalad, and by night you have to eat it. And when you eat it, we learn out from Bavur Zeh. This is what it says: "V'gat lebincha." You should tell your son the story of Yitzias Mitzrayim. Bavur Zeh. So the pasuk Bavur Zeh. What's the Bavur Zeh? In the Hemshech Pasukim, it's discussing the carbon Pesach. Or the matzah mar, the mitzvahs of Pesach.
Why it said they got a lepincha? How about if you have a daughter, there's a grandkid, there's a wife?
It's a great question. No, it's a good question. I don't know the answer.
You bother me.
So, yeah, it's a very good question. So just to say a side point, Derech Agav, the pasuk that speaks about the chiyuv of Sipri Yitzias every day, the lashon pasuk is Laman Tizkes Yem Tzeichem Eretz Yitzias. So the discussion, the poskim. So first of all, we learn out. It says Laman Tizkes Yem Tzeichem Eretz Yitzias Kol Mechayacha, Yemei Chayacha Hayamim, Kol Yemei Chayacha Haleilis. Right? We mentioned this drash in the Agada.
Right.
Ben Zaymer says there's a chisi. I'm going to be exactly the chitzi sheti amer Yitzias beleilis ad shedash ben zayma the kol yemei teach us by night. So we learn that you have leman tizkes yem tzeichem. You have to be masked Yitzias Mitzrayim by day and by night every single day. Fine. So the discussion of the poskim, where do I do this? So the simple halacha is you do it by Krishma, right? In the third parasha, Krishma is Vayemer. For the discussion, what happens to someone that's Vayemer? If they said other things, are the yates the mitzvah of Yitzis Mitzrayim? So one of the discussions in the place is what happens if someone said, forgot to say Vayemer, but he said Az Yasher. And as Yasher, we speak about Kis Yamsuf. Are you Yaitze? So the Alter Rebbe in the Kuntesachin in Hilchas Kishma, when he discusses, says, makes a diuk that it says, Laman Tiskesi Yom Tzeischa, the day you left Mitzrayim. So the chiyuv is to remember the day you left Mitzrayim, not the whole story of Yitzis Mitzrayim, which took a few days, including Kis Yamsuf. So therefore he learns it's not enough if someone didn't say Vayemer and he only said Az Yashi, he's not Yaitz to the mitzvah. Not Yaitz to the mitzvah of is Chidus Yitzis time every day. So we have these two mitzvahs. There's mitzvah of Chidus Yitzis time every day. There's the mitzvah of Sipi Yitzis time Vigat Lebincha on the night of Pesach. So the big question is, why do we have these two mitzvahs? It's the same thing. Yeah, Pesach, just like every day you have to do twice a day, you have to be maskis Yitzam so to Pesach. So what's the addition of the night of Pesach? Yeah, the night of Pesach before the Seder, you already say Kishma, you already were maskis Yitzam. So there's many answers given, many answers. All the time discuss this. So in the Haggadah, in the Rebbe's Haggadah, he's malakit 6 answers, and not all the answers, not all the ideas and concepts and halachas that are mentioned in all these answers are muskam l'kol, are agreed upon by everybody. Some of the ideas are only according to some shittas, but just gonna go through.
Just a side one.
Yeah.
Marav on the first 2 nights of Pesach, nobody says Challah. That's only on Sukkot.
No, fakir. It's only on Pesach that we say halal by night.
Absolutely.
Right, we're gonna speak.
Marav?
Yeah, we're gonna speak soon. Now that you mentioned, I'll say this now. Something I want to speak about later. I don't know if we're gonna get there, but there's a concept. We'll speak about it later. But there's a concept called in halacha in Gemara. You find there's a concept called halal mitzra'ah. There's a lashon in the Gemara in Brachis, halal mitzra'ah, the halal of Mitzrayim, and there's a lashon in Shas in many places, in a few places, halal hagadol. What are these two things referring to? So halal mitzra'ah, halal Mitzrayim, Mitzri, is referring to the halal that we know. The regular halal we say never Yom Tov. Why is it called halal Mitzrayim? So it's explained. This in the lashon Gemara, that's what it is. So it's explained that the reason why it's called halal Mitzrayim, the regular halal, is because it's the special thing, this halal that it's only said once a year. It's something that we say. It's a tefillah that we say by many Yom Tovim, but only by one time a year is it said by night. When's it said by night? By Pesach, by the Sipri Yitzis Mitzrayim. So that's what's called Hal Mitzrah. And then Hal Gadol is referring to Kapitel Kof Lamed Vav, the Hidl Hashem Kitav Kilam Chazdei, Leina Adin Kilam Chazdei. That the 26th Hidl Hashem. So that's called in Gemara usually Paiskim. When we say Hal Gadol is referring to the 26 Hidl Hashems. Kapitel Kof Lamed Vav. Stop this. If we get to there, maybe again later. Kuf Lamed Vav. And why is it called the Gadol? So the Gemara says, why is it called Gadol? Very interesting thing. The Gemara says, because in this kapitel we discuss a Davar Gadol. What's the Davar Gadol that we discuss? The Gemara says we discuss that Hashem is Zan, the Eibishter is sustains in the Zan and gives parnasa to the mizanis to the whole world, and that's the Davar Gadol. That's the big thing. So Akabanim, we were saying that there's a mitzvah every day to be maskis Yitzrayim twice a day, and there's a mitzvah of Sipri Yitzrayim on the night of Pesach. What is the difference? So there's many answers given, and Haggadah the Rebbe goes through a few. I'll quickly just say the different answers. One answer is that there's the schira of every day. You could be yaitze by only being zecher in belief. In the night of Pesach, you have to say it b'dibur. Not everyone agrees. Not all the places can agree that you're yaitze every day in the heart, in the leiv. Not a place can hold you actually have to say it, but some places can hold that every day you're yaitze b'schira, but in the night of Pesach it's b'dibur.
Like the matzah. I hold the kazait matzah on Pesach night, and I have all the kavanas what the matzah is supposed to do, and I didn't buy it and eat it, I don't know it.
Right.
I'm having in Sipper certain time the old component. But I didn't say the Dibo, and I ate.
Right. Masha'inkin, there's a the whole year in the lev is enough. Another answer given, another difference, is it just mentioning the fact as you see time, or is it elaborating in Misaper? Yeah. The night of Pesach, it's a whole story. It's not just you sit there the whole night. Another difference is some want to say that on the night of Pesach it has to be in a way of question and answer. We ask questions, we say the understand, and then we say Avad Mayinu, we answer. It's in a different. The setup, the setting is different. Another interesting answer. It doesn't really discuss the difference in the actual mitzvah, but there are those who want to say that the difference is that the mitzvah of the night of Pesach is one of the Tayag mitzvahs. One Tayag mitzvah is the night of Pesach to be misapi tzitzam. The mitzvah every day is not included in the Tayag mitzvahs. Now that's a big discussion for itself. Why is the mitzvah of zechir tzitzam every day not including Tayag mitzvahs? Because it's halacha shechanach. So where did it come from, right? And we learn it from Apostle. Why is it not Tayag mitzvahs? But that's a discussion for itself. Krisha, what it's about Yitzis Yitzayim. L'chura Yitzis Yitzayim is an independent mitzvah. Okay, so it's discussed. Some want to say that it becomes one mitzvah, but it's l'chura chiddush because Krishma includes Achdus Hashem and Shema Yisrael Achdus Hashem. It's the mitzvah li'achdi is varich, and then there's the mitzvah of Yitzis Yitzayim. L'chura is two different things. So it's discussed. There's connections, but seemingly it's a discussion. But Papa Mamish, the mitzvah of Zechir Tzitzam every day is not in the Tayag mitzvahs. The mitzvah on the night of Pesach is in the Tayag mitzvahs. And another difference that's mentioned, a very interesting one, is that there's a discussion if the mitzvah of Zechir Tzitzam applies l'asad lavi. There's a mitzvah l'haski tzitzam kol yom l'asad lavi is a discussion. Who says that? But that's the Chacham that are chaylik on Ben Zayman. Yeah, Ben Zayman says Chacham say Yemais Mashiach. So the question is, do we paskin? Are Chacham chaylik on Ben Zayman, or they're adding to Ben Zayman? So it's a discussion in the place. Some learn that they're chaylik. So if we pass on Ben Zayman by night, there's not going to be a mitzvah laslavi. So it's a discussion.
After Bezrat Hashem Mashiach comes, we will have Pesach, Seder, and everything.
Yeah. Oh, so this is what they say, that even if the mitzvah of Zechir every day is not l'asad lavei, but the mitzvah of Pesach will be l'asad lavei. Just want to point out in la asad lavei, when Mashiach comes, there are different stages. There's Yemais Mashiach, there's Elam Haba, there's Big Machlekes, the Rambam, what exactly he's referring to. So you have to know, a lot of times when they speak about l'asad lavei, there's different stages referring to. But Pashas right now, we're discussing the first stage. First stage of Yemais Mashiach. Some places want to say that you only have Pesach and you have all other mitzvahs, but the mitzvah of Yitzis mitzvah of Zechir every day won't be l'asad lavei. Now that we mentioned this, I'll just add another point. That something we just mentioned a minute ago, that the mitzvah of Zechir every day isn't one of the Tayag mitzvahs. Some want to say the reason why it's not one of the Tayag mitzvahs, since it won't apply l'asad lavei when Mashiach comes. It's not including Tayag mitzvahs, because the Rambam says one of the rules for things that are counted in Tayag mitzvahs are mitzvahs that exist forever. They're not temporary. So a mitzvah which will cease to exist, l'asad lavei, cannot be part of the Tayag mitzvahs.
We have the Agada, the story of the four Chachamim, Rabbi Elazar, היו מסובים בבני ברק, והיו מספרים ביציאת מצרים כל אותו הלילה. We said, הרי זה משובח, if you said the whole story. They were sitting the whole night and saying Yetziat Mitzrayim.
Correct. So it's good you're mentioning, because the last point I was going to say about the difference between the mitzvah of Zechir Tzitzam every night and the mitzvah of Sipri Tzitzam on Pesach is, the last answer is that the mitzvah of every day is you just say it and that's it. Maski Tzitzam, that's it. The mitzvah on Pesach is Kol HaLayla. It's not, you're not Yetzi because I said it and I'm done. No. The mitzvah continues. The whole night you're just adding more to the mitzvah.
And I heard something about this four Rabbanim sitting the whole night. How come they leave the family and one live in the Galil, all over, and they come to Bnei Brak to sit down to learn together? They have no wife, they have no kids.
Maybe they brought them.
They brought them.
What they brought them?
I once sat in a Seder We finished 4:35 in the morning. That was the best Seder I had. I
Don't
remember.
forget about it. My point is, they were sitting there in the cave till the Talmidim came, Rabotenu, Giya Zman, Kriyat Shema Shel Shachrit.
Yeah.
What the Talmidim doing outside? If the rabbi is sitting inside and learning, why the Talmidim outside? So I heard unbelievers said they made this meeting months and months ahead. When they thought Bar Kochba is the Mashiach, they make the meeting to discuss what to do. That's why they made it far away in Bnei Brak, and the Talmidim was guarding outside from the Roman. That's why they were outside. The Rabbanim was inside. They have no window, can't see anything. It's dark. You learn. You don't know what's in. Here the Talmidim come and said, "Rabotenu, Igia Zman." It's time now to. And
Interesting.
then they find out that Bar Kochba is Bar Koziva. He's a sheker. That's why they want to make him as a Mashiach.
Right.
Then they saw they cannot make him a Mashiach.
Right. Yeah.
I know the Pshat in Bnei Brak, each child, the Talmidim will tell the Rabbi what to do.
Uh-huh.
I come on, so yes, let's continue. Okay, so the mitzvah on the night of Pesach to be Misapi Sitz and Sign. But you're right, there's a mitzvah to say over the story. But if you look at Agada, sorry?
They're wise.
Yeah, but if you look at Agada, we don't stam say the story. We actually, the main part of the Agada is we bring a few psukim from the Parsha Bikurim, right? The 4 psukim we're dashing, and we have to dash in each pasuk. We take every word and we start bringing back the psukim from Shemais to explain what happened, right? So we take a short synopsis of the story that we say that the Yidden say in Parsha Bikurim when Yidden came to bring the Bikurim, they had to say over the story in short. We have to, so on the night of Pesach in Agada we take those psukim and then we dash in each pasuk and we elaborate the story even more from the psukim of Shemais, from when the story actually happened. So seemingly, why are we going to Dvarim to from Parsha Bikurim and then make our way back to Shemais when the story happened? Let's just say over the story the way it is from Shemais when the story happened. So some want to say the Zajac Pesach from the Barbanel wants to say that it's since there's a mitzvah to say over the story, and there's a mitzvah that we learned that you have to be masked b'gnos Messiah b'shvach, and you have to be made to the Eibishter you have to say over the story and then thank the Eibishter. So these 4 psukim in from Parsha Bikurim is a good short way. It includes everything. It's a good way to start, and from that you build. But there's another explanation given that there's twice where the Torah tells you to say over a story. One time is the night of Pesach. There's a mitzvah to say the story of Tzisur Tzai. And there's another time the Torah tells the Yid to say a story. By Bikurim, the Torah says when the Yid comes to bring Bikurim, he has to say over a story. So the Chachamim learned if there's 2 times the Torah says to say a story, and the story by Bikurim discusses Tzisur Tzai. So let's say when the Torah told me to say the story by Pesach, Tzisur Tzai, we should take the same story. Let's take the same sipper. There's twice the Torah says to me, Sapper. Take the sipper from here and bring it there. Okay, so until now we discussed there's a mitzvah to Misapi Sitz time. But it's very interesting that really the mitzvah isn't only discussing the story of Tzisur Tzai. So first of all, in the Haggadah we say there's the Arba Banim, right? That discusses how you tell over to the story of Tzisur Tzai. The Haggadah discusses there are different ways to deal with different children. So what does the Ben HaChacham ask?
Wow,
What do we tell him? You say Av Darshan Le'Bechachas Pesach, and you have to tell him all the halachas of Pesach. Add until the halacha of Ein Maftinach Pesach Afikaim. Is one of the last halachas. So it basically tells you the idea that you have to answer him back all the different halachas of Pesach. Now, I thought we said that tonight we're supposed to be discussing the story of Tzisur Tzai. So what are you telling me about halachas of Pesach? Discussing the story. So we see from here that really the mitzvah on the night of Pesach isn't only to discuss the story. it's a part of the mitzvah is also to discuss the halachas.
The halachos is part of the story.
Yeah, I guess you could say sort of. Yeah. Well, what's the story? You could say it in other words. What's the story of Yitzis Mitzrayim? The story of Yitzis Mitzrayim is that Abisha took us out of Mitzrayim to be His nation, to be Yidden, to do Torah and to learn Torah and to do mitzvahs.
What is the mitzvah?
Right.
That's
Yeah.
the-
So we discussed halachas of Pesach, because today's Pesach, but why are we discussing halachas? Because this is the culmination and the tachlis of the whole Yitzis Mitzrayim is in order of tavna as elikim b'harazeh, in order to serve the Eibishter. And the truth is, we already see this. There's already a Tosefta, and this Tosefta is already brought in Shulchan Aruch. We're going to discuss later. It's going to get something else, but the lashon of Tosefta is Chayiv Adam Lasik behilchas Pesach over Yitzias Mitzrayim kol halayla. V'zeu shesheninu ma'aseh b'Elaz ben Azariah v'chulu v'chulu. So the Tosefta says the mitzvah is two things: Misaper to say the halachas and the Misaper Yitzias Mitzrayim.
The truth is, a story in the Torah is like a halacha. A
That's
story
the
in the Torah, this is learning. It's not a story. No, you're a time I'm learning and a time I say a story. That story itself, that itself is a learning.
That's true, but we also not only do we say the story that's in Torah, we also say halacha, the halachas in Torah.
Right, and I'm saying the halacha is a part of the story that.
Right? Yeah. For instance, in Agad itself, we have we say over Ma'aseh ben Elazar. Yeah. In Agad we say Ma'aseh ben Elazar. What's Ma'aseh ben Elazar? It's a story of Mitzrayim, or it's a story about the halacha that you have to be misaper b'Yitzrayim.
Right.
It's halacha. But the Dal at the bottom is also halacha. It's telling you how you're supposed to say over the story. We say we discuss Yacham Eresh Chaydish. We're discussing that this mitzvah of Tzipis Yisrael, we could have thought you have to start Eresh Chaydish, and then we thought you start by day. It's all discussing the halachas of the Tzipis Yisrael. And then we say Kol Mishalei Amar Gimel Dvarim Pesach Matzah Mater. Yeah, these are not just a lot of the things in Agad aren't on the story. It's different halachas that are connected with the night.
Basically, you have to say the word.
Yeah, and what's interesting is where does this come from? So it comes from like this. Where do we learn out the Dalet Banim? From different psukim in the Torah. By the Ben HaChacham, where do we learn out from? We learn out, it says in the Pasuk, Yishalcha Bincha. Your son will ask. Okay, and in the Hemshech of the psukim, what does the Torah answer? Avodah Miyinu. The Avodah Miyinu comes from the psukim that are said in regards to the words Ki Yishalcha Bincha, which the Haggadah learns is referring to the Ben HaChacham. And so the Torah says Avodah Miyinu, and then later on in the next psukim it says Vayitzaveinu Hashem lasas as kol hachukim ha'ela. Okay, so again the psukim that discuss Ben HaChacham in the Torah says Kishalcha Bincha. You someone ask what ma avodah zeis zalachem, and then the pasuk says you answer back Avodah Miyinu, which is a story, and then the pasuk continues and you tell them Vayitzaveinu Hashem lekeinu as kol hachukim, and you tell them that Hashem commands all these different mitzvahs and these halachas. So we see already in these psukim from the Ben HaChacham that the mitzvah of the night is you say the story and you say the halachas. That's where we learn out. Until when is so we have this mitzvah to Misapis Yisrael and the halachas. Until when does this mitzvah go? So the lashon Shulchan Aruch comes from this Tosefta we just said. The lashon is very interesting. I think most Yidden are problem with kind of this halacha, but just good to know. So we said, Chayav Adam Las Vavs a Pesach Yitzias Mitzrayim Kol halayla.
Kol halayla, you're saying the
Kol halayla until when? You're allowed to go to sleep, right? Or do you have to stay up?
No.
Oh, so Shulchan Aruch it says, I think it comes from the Tosefta. It says Ad shetichtefenu shina. Until your eyes are until the sleep is overcoming. Once sleep is overcoming you, then you're allowed to go to sleep. Then you're allowed to stop being misaper. So as long as you're awake and fresh, you have a chiyuv to misaper.
I was wondering, the Wochen go to make a Seder in a public place, complete inside. You can't keep them more than 2 hours. So you finish Seder quickly, and then what? Then this time, let's say that.
Yeah.
You're lucky 2 hours.
Yeah. A lot of the shluchim, a lot of people that make public starim,
and then they
start on Seder after.
So they really do the whole night.
Yeah.
So I went to a Zalman group, and he did the community thing, he got struck in the earth, and went to his house.
Yeah. Okay, so now until now we discussed Sipri says the same. The halach is darshan the agada. And now we're going to go on. We're going to zoom forward a bit to the end of the Seder. So towards the end of the Seder, we have the Afikaiman. Okay. First of all, before we go further, what is the Afikaiman? So Afikaiman is the matzah that we eat instead of the carbon pesach. Right? But the truth is, what? We have to, what is it? It's the matzah we're eating zecher for the carbon pesach. But the truth is, in the Rishonim, it's a discussion: is it for the matzah? Is the matzah zecher to the carbon pesach, or is the matzah zecher to the matzah that was eaten with the carbon pesach? It's interesting. That's why we're machmir. The nafmin is that we're machmir. I don't know. I don't remember.
What your kavanah should be when you eat it?
No. So what's negated to us? What's negated to us is that we're machmir to eat two kezesim. You're supposed to eat
one
for carbon pesach, and one is for the matzah eaten with the carbon pesach. But the avid, you could be yet with one.
So that's what we're eating two kezesim.
Right.
To be what's this?
Right.
So you have two brachas, moitzi and alachilas matzah.
The brachas you make earlier, but we're saying after the Shulchan Aruch, right? The matzah you eat.
Starting Africa.
Right. L'chatchila we're naik to take it. Says Shulchan Aruch take two kezesim because of these.
So if you zecher korban, why they don't eat piece of meat? Why they have to eat matzah? We ate the matzah already.
That's a good question, but because we don't actually have a carbon today, so we can't eat something which is going to be like kachim. Today we don't have kachim. We don't have a carbon, so you can't.
We don't
eat.
have korban, or we do the tefillah instead of korban.
Yes. But you can't eat
Why you
meat.
have to eat?
It would be a problem to eat.
Even the zohar that we
you
put in the
come
kehara,
you buy meat for Pesach.
we take off the
say
meat
it's for
this way.
Pesach. The same, so that's
Shouldn't
why we
look
do
like
matzahs,
eating
so it
meat.
shouldn't be meat.
like
Right? Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, correct.
What did you say?
He's saying that because of we don't have kachim today, we don't have the carbons. You have to make sure that you don't say that the meat
It's for Pesach.
is for Pesach because it'll sound like it's for
we
carbon
just
Pesach.
learned it yesterday. The halacha.
2 days ago.
2 days ago.
So.
Time flies.
We were learning.
Yeah.
So so what I wanted to say is this is Afikaiman. I want to say is why is it called Afikaiman? So Afikaiman, we're going to discuss in a minute a bit more about Afikaiman in the Gemara. Yeah, the Gemara discusses Afikaiman, and there's Shmuel, Rav and Shmuel, two perushim. What Afikaiman is, but the way the way Shmuel says it and the way we establish it is that Afikaiman is referring to dessert. Afikuman is dessert, yeah. That when you're done the Suda, you say, yeah, afikuman to bring the good stuff. So in the BCS, it says somewhere, 1 second, that
The time is 2 words to get put together.
yeah.
Korban.
So in the BCS, it says somewhere that the reason. So. I'm going to fast forward a second. There's a halacha that ein maftirin. It's a mishnah. Ein maftirin achar Pesach afikamin. You're not allowed to be mafti. You're not allowed to finish off after the Pesach, after the carbon Pesach with afikamin, which we said is dessert. We're going to discuss in a minute a bit more about this halacha. So the Yosef says the reason why the matzah that we eat today, zecher for the carbon Pesach, the reason why we call it afikamin is because it's associated with this halacha of ein maftirin achar Pesach afikamin. Because there's halacha that you have to have a dessert after this Pesach. So in connection with this halacha, we call this achila afikamin. But in the Levush, he says another reason, which is a geshmaka reason, that the carbon Pesach is a very chashuv mitzvah. And there's halacha that we're going to discuss later on about the fact that it's supposed to be eaten al seva, like you mentioned. It's supposed to eat it when you're satisfied for other reasons. But one of the ideas that Levush says, one of the ideas in addition to the other reasons we'll discuss later, is that it's supposed to be the mitzvah is supposed to be chaviv. It's supposed to be geshmak. The chashav mitzvah, we're supposed to do it with in a geshmak way. So that's what we call it afikaman, and it should be like a dessert.
It's the hardest part of the Pesach
Right.
to eat afikamin because you're really full from the cup of wine. You had the whole Suda,
Right.
and now you're about to store.
That's why I'm making sure not to eat a whole Suda. Some people stuff themselves like crazy. Eat a little. To make room for that.
Yeah, you want to eat it's halacha. You just eat afikaman b'chavivus. Okay. So
Like when I get to it, I'm chewing it like I don't want it.
Especially the traditional Jews, they don't know what it means. They have a whole big fanfare meal they stuff themselves with soon who knows how many courses, But the main part is the application, so you can't stop yourself.
Why did he make the Afikomer in the beginning?
Because
You just said,
the word is to eat it when it's sober.
Yeah, we're gonna discuss later why, but there's a few reasons we're gonna discuss.
According to what he's saying, everybody's eating and eating. Eat it in the beginning, and then eat forever you want to
This
eat.
is actually we're gonna discuss soon, but there's two halachas in Shulchan Aruch. One halacha is that the halacha says it has to be eaten ala seva. It has to be eaten when you're satisfied. It shouldn't be the beginning of the meal, it should be the end of the meal. But then the halacha says the opposite, like you're saying, that you shouldn't eat too much before because you don't want it to be stuffing yourself. Okay, but we're gonna get back to that. Akapanim is halacha ein maftinach. It's a mishnah in the towards the end of Pesachim. Ein maftinach Pesach afikeman. You should not finish off with any after the Pesach, after the Karban Pesach with afikeman, with any dessert. This is the Mishnah is discussing actually Karban Pesach, not the matzah that we call afikeman. It's talking about the times when there's a carbon. And the Gemara discusses why. So Rav says the reason is because the halacha you're not allowed to eat the Pesach in two places. You have to eat it in one place. You're not allowed to eat it half here and half somewhere else. Not only that, there's an issue to if someone eats half the Karban Pesach and falls asleep and then wakes up, he's not allowed to finish eating because it would be considered as two places. He slept and he got up. It's a new start. The Pesach has to be eaten in one sitting in one place. So says Rav, we don't want that a person should come to sometimes Yom Tov people go around to eat by different people. So if we allow you to eat after the Karban Pesach, we're afraid to eat the Karban Pesach, and then you'll go to your friend and you'll take another bite.
It can't be any nicer, right? It can't be.
See if there's any leftovers.
Right.
So in order that a person shouldn't come to eat a little bit Pesach here and a little bit Pesach somewhere else, we said once you eat the Pesach, that's it. Can't eat anymore. That's what Rav says. Shmuel says it's not only because you may go somewhere else. He says even over here we don't want you to eat after the Pesach. Why not? So he says that you don't want to you want to finish off the night with the taste of the Pesach in your mouth. So once you eat the Karban Pesach, don't eat anything else because you want to leave the taste of the Karban Pesach in your mouth. Why is this? So some Rishonim want to learn that the reason why we want the taste, where else do we have? You have to leave the taste in your mouth. So some Rishonim want to learn the reason why is since the Pesach has to be ala seva when you're satisfied. So we wanted to make sure that you're going to eat enough before that you're satisfied. So we told you leave the taste of your Pesach in your mouth in order that you shouldn't eat afterwards, in order that you should eat enough before, and it should be ala seva. That's the same shit. But other Rishonim learned that it's two separate reasons. There's two different halachas.
It's fair because you're drinking with two places.
Right. So the Rishonim say.
But it washes it down. You don't have the.
Okay. So we're going to discuss in a second. You're both saying good points. You're both saying good points. We'll discuss in a minute. You're saying a very good point, and you're also saying a very good point. It's probably machlokes Rishonim what you're saying, but.
When you're drinking the wine, you're losing the taste of the matzah.
Right, so you're right, but we'll get to that in a second. So
It's staying in your stomach, believe me, for a whole week.
but but it says you have to taste in your mouth. So we'll discuss.
It stays staying in you for a whole week.
No, it's not like.
And it doesn't go out.
No. It's not like a donut on Hanukkah time.
No.
That burns you for 8 days.
8 days. That's different.
So actually, like this discussion originally in the Mishnah of Ein Maftirach Pesach V'Kayim is discussed regarding the Karban Pesach. What's about today that we don't need Karban Pesach? We have matzah, which is instead of the Karban Pesach. Is there also the din of Ein Maftirach Pesach? So the Gemara has a machlokes, two lishnas, two girsais and shmol, and the halacha is angenommen like the girsa machmira, like to say that even by matzah we say this din of Ein Maftirach Pesach V'Kayim. Okay, so halacha l'maisa we eat today matzah. There's a din you're not allowed to eat anything afterwards in order not to lose the taste.
When you eat the matzah from a pekemon, is it sure how much you have to eat, or you could stop or could continue? You must do a kazai.
Okay.
What happens if I do up to 2 kazai?
It's a very good point you're saying. So seemingly,
you want to have 3 kazay?
Let's say.
okay. So it's an excellent point you're saying, and I'll get to in a second. It's a very good point because it was like
you
this.
told me that you're not allowed to eat anymore.
Right.
So I eat the 2 kazais and that's it. I can't eat more.
So the thing is like this, and the simple understanding would be like you're saying, 100%. You're not eating anything else. But there's a lashon in the Rush, and based on this, the Alter Rebbe says halacha. It's in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. I don't think it's brought in Mishnah Brura. I don't think it's brought in the other Nesa Kelim on Shulchan Aruch. The Alter Rebbe brings from this, seemingly it's coming from the Rash, a very interesting halacha. He's medayik from the Rash, and what does it say? You shouldn't lose the tam matzah, right? Amalu was the carbon pesach. Today it's the tam matzah. You don't want to lose the tam matzah from your mouth.
So if I eat more
So
matzah,
if I'm eating more matzah, the same time, yeah, we have a cloud that min b'minay ain't a bottle. Why is minay ain't a bottle? Because it's just the same thing again and again. You're not. It's not one thing overpowering the other thing. It just
continue chewing the same thing.
yeah. So you're not losing the taste, even though it's new pieces of matzah. But since it's the same taste, the halacha we
But it's not considered like I'm eating more.
right. It's eating more. It is considered eating more, but it doesn't take away from the old thing. As long as the same taste does the other thing. This halacha is very interesting. It says in Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. I don't know if the other place can bring it. It says in Shulchan Aruch, you're allowed to eat matzah. After you're allowed to eat more matzah, but he says clearly it has to be matzah shmura. Right? There's some yidden that eat only matzah shmura for the carbon paste for the mitzvahs, but for the rest of the Yom Tov, they eat the mishim or not shmura. So this halacha says clearly it has to be the same exact type of matzah that you're eating for the carbon pesach, you're eating for Afrikaim. But it's an interesting chiddush of Alter Rebbe, and if you Alter Rebbe, you would be allowed to eat more matzah. It could be that other places may agree with it, but I don't know if it says explicitly in the other places. Maybe later on they bring. I don't know. I don't think I didn't see in the Mishnah Berurah. I don't think I saw it in any of the.
Think about Apichsidis, Michel, the first night's Michel, the Menusa, Michel, the Susa. What happened when you eat more? You have more medicine, like more what is it called? Vitamins.
Yeah, maybe.
Or you feed yourself with more ammonia.
Yeah, maybe. So, right. So again, so you said we don't want to lose the tam matzah. So first thing we discussed was what you pointed out, and the Alter Rebbe says that you're allowed to eat more matzah, but other food you're not allowed to eat. The big question the Shem becomes: what's about drinks?
The 2 cups of wine.
What's about drinks? Yeah. So there's a major machlokes Yishanim. A lot of Yishanim discuss what's about drinking. So it's split like everything else in Torah. You have machlokes. Some Yishanim hold that drinking is mutter. Some Yishanim hold that drinking is aser. The Yishanim that hold that drinking is mutter. One of the rayas is obviously what you brought from the two cases of wine. The other Yishanim say no. The 2 cases of wine is a special. Sorry,
It's a mitzvah.
Since a mitzvah that we learn out Chachamim learned it out from Sukkim because we have the 4 Lashonos, the Geula. So Chachamim said, "Okay, dalat cases we have a special reason." Okay, but that's a yitzim in the klal. That's an exception. But besides for the 2 cups, don't drink anything else. Other Lashonos say no. If they were misaking it in this way, obviously means they're drinking. They have other diets. Whatever. It's a big machlokes Yishanim.
Why the Rebbe put in that go there?
What's this?
If you're not allowed to drink. It said you finish your eating, right? But if you look at that good, then it says if you drink something, born of in the printed. If you're not allowed to, why drink?
Okay. So here's the thing. So first of all, we have Rishonim that hold that you're allowed to drink. You're allowed to drink. So we're machmer. The lashon of Shulchan Aruch is v'yeshalachosh im loy letzerach gadol. You should be chayshish for the machmirim not to drink any drink.
Unless
But if Tzedek Gadol says if someone's an istanis, he's very thirsty, then you're allowed to drink. So first of all, some people will drink. According to halacha, there are cases where you're allowed to drink. Number 1. Number 2, all this is this whole discussion we said because machlokes Yishanim is about drinks like wine, strong drinks with strong taste. But it says water and soft drinks that don't have a strong taste, l'kul ha'am is mutter. That's the way it is in Shulchan Aruch. So first of Shulchan Aruch it says that even strong drinks, let's say God, if you're mamish, you can't handle it, you're allowed to drink. And even if that's if you can't handle it, and even if you just regular, even shalei let's say gadol, water and soft drinks you're allowed. This is the Shulchan Aruch. It's interesting, but that there is a few Rishonim. There's the Kolbai and the Martche brings some Rishonim that were machmer not even to drink water. And the Rebbe's Haggadah, he's medayik from the lashon of the Alter Rebbe in the way the Alter Rebbe writes in the Haggadah. What's the lashon? The lashon is the Alter Rebbe writes in the Haggadah. He writes after the Afrikaim, he writes v'zeh shelo yishta ach Afrikaim. You should be zahir not to drink. Says the Rebbe. Why do you say not to drink? What do you mean? Shulchan Aruch says only not to drink hard drinks, strong drinks. Right?
The Shulchan doesn't mention the word water.
The Shulchan Aruch says water is mutter.
Water, right?
Water is mutter. It says you only not allowed to drink strong drinks. Why does he say the zeshli yishta? It says you shouldn't drink at all. The Rebbe says because the Alter Rebbe is saying that you should be machmer, like the Martche and the Kolbai that hold that you should be machmir from the water. So the Rebbe is not saying that halacha, if someone in your family wants to, I'm saying if someone wants to drink water, you don't have to make a whole big deal out of it.
But it's better to machmir not.
It's better. L'chatchila is the right way to do it. L'chatchila is yizar shlo yishteh. If you're thirsty, you can drink some water, but the right way to do it is not.
You know anybody drinking after the finishing the Haggadah, they drinking tea?
But we drink the wine after the apikoyma. We drink 2 coasters of wine after the apikoyma.
Correct. Good point. That's what we just discussed. Right, that's what we're just discussing over here. Very good point about the wine. So that's why somebody should learn that you're right. We drink wine, and from that is that you're allowed to drink after Afikomen. But the other Yishanim say that no, you're not allowed to drink wine after Afikomen. It's only the wine that the Chacham Misakin of the Dalit cases that it only they were mater, and that's a Yates Milklal. It's an exception to the rule. Besides for the mitzvah,
God says if you want to drink more wine beside the 4 cups, it's only after the 2nd cup.
Okay, so we'll get to that. Yeah, we'll get there. So, but yeah, it's true. So, right. So that's one thing. Right. To discuss, you don't want to get rid of the taste. Food is aser. Matzah, the Alter Rebbe says mutter. Drinks. This is water. In Shulchan Aruch it says the water is mutter. Other drinks, some Yishanim hold it's aser, but it's gadol, it's mutter. And in the Haggadah, we see that Rebbe says that l'chitchila, it's better not even to drink water. Okay. Now, this is all, there's a very interesting halacha that we have over here. Most times, all halachas that exist on the first day of Yom Tov always exist on Yom Tov Sheni, the second day of Yom Tov. There's very few things that we say, we're makel, let's say, for a mess, to bury a mess on the second day, but b'chalas everything's always the same. But then it's the chum masaka to make it just like the first day. There's very few things that are different. One of the things that we say is different is this halach of eim aftin achpasach v'keiman. Says in Shulchan Aruch that legabe this halach the second day you don't have to be machmer. That's what it says. It says even though all the other halachas we say are the same, the first and the second, this halacha not. Derech Agav, we're also nayig one more thing that the halacha to eat Pesach or Afrikim before Chatzais, we're also not makbid the second day.
Second day could be after Chatzais.
Yeah, a lot of people are not makbid. Second day they're not makbid.
Right. The second day we're not. But we're discussing the halacha of Eim Aftinach Pesach Afrikim and not to get rid of the taste. So in the Shulchan Aruch it says Mikra Din. The second day, you don't have this halacha, but the Kolbay says, the Shabbat Leket says that Mahadrin, Yidin the Mahadrin, were makbid, that even the second day, they don't eat after the Afrikaiman. And he says, therefore, it says in the Lashon of Shulchan Aruch, that, let me just get the Lashon. Therefore, it says in Shulchan Aruch, it says like this. That is the second day you're allowed to eat and drink. Eat and drink. But so he says like this: drinking will allow you. Drinking soft drinks that are not strong will allow you because that everyone. Sorry.
We're talking about the second night now.
Yeah.
Why else is the same thing? We don't drink and we don't eat after. First night, second night, the same thing.
I think Lubavitch and Yisrael doesn't hold from the second night, right?
There is no concept
no,
of second
for the Yidden of Yisrael there isn't.
That is all. There's no concept.
One thing, Lubavitch coming from Chutz La'aretz doesn't hold.
There's no concept of second night in Yisrael.
No, if you're a Chutz La'aretz coming to visit, the Lubavitch I think hold that you can hold only one Seder.
Oh, you're discussing with some of the travels. The big machlekes in Lubavitch itself.
Yes, yeah.
In Lubavitch itself, some Lubavitch.
Correct.
So Akapanim. Right, so Ba'atzim, the halacha is the second day you're allowed to eat and drink. And Shulchan Aruch it says, when it comes to drinking, I rely on the Rishonim that say that you're allowed to drink all drinks after Afrikainim. But Lagabi eating, even though Ikar din you're allowed the second day, it says Hamahadrin Noyigin Labeis Kilal Aleph. Mahadrin are Noyig to keep the second like the first day. And says the Shabbat Laket, therefore, if you eat, you're allowed to eat, but if you eat, what's going to happen is you're taking yourself out of the klal mahadin, you're going to be, more makel than everyone else. And you're even divrei chacham that say, L'olam al yeti adam is atzmin haklal. So he said it's a chumrah, but since everyone was negative the chumrah to do the second day of the first day, don't take yourself out of this klal.
Why was the second day of the different? Why were things
Not sure.
allowed to eat
Not sure.
or drink?
Not sure.
Because it's not a real chiyuv, if somebody
Right, but
let's say somebody in Chutzah did not make a second yontif and he did it 100% of the yontif. It was yetzer mitzvah matzah and a couple of cups.
right, but he wasn't yet to the mitzvah the second day.
Right.
Midrabanan is a mitzvah.
So
But the mitzvah is-
the Rabbanon, that's why on second
Yeah,
night
but
you
generally, when it comes to Yom Tasheni, the Rabbanan said to do everything exactly like.
right, but that's why the chumrah to eat to drink is not so like.
Because it's only Issa Eim of Terach and Pesach, it's only mitzvah the Tamatza, which that itself could be that's yeah, okay, could be. Because the whole Allah of Eim of
Eat
Terach
from
and
Pesach
Pesach,
on the second night,
right? Yeah,
we're doing it the zecher, but actually
Right.
there was no.
and it's not meaning there's a mitzvah to eat avocado, right?
Yes.
Then Eim of Terach and Pesach is only a halacha on top of that for other reasons. So
Right.
it could be that we're more makel. Okay, so until now we discussed the halacha of Eim of Terach and Pesach avocado. Then there's another Mishnah, and there's a whole new halacha, and there's nafkaminas between these. They sound very similar, but there's really nafkaminas between these two halachas. It says in the Mishnah that you're not allowed to drink mashkim hamashakrim. You're not allowed to drink wine or any other drink that makes a person drunk.
And between second and third.
Between the third and fourth kais. Between the third and fourth kais. Right? So you have the first two
Now, you
kaises.
can drink nothing after the third because you said.
So l'chora, it seems like these two halachas are they're
Contradiction.
so the truth is
As
that
you said
they're
earlier, after the second case in the studio, you can have whatever you want.
right, but so again,
I'm talking about the third cup. You drink,
Right, yes.
you drink
Right.
the third cup. You're not allowed to drink it.
when do you drink the third cup? After
After
the Avik. So you have the Shulchan Aruch, you have the Avik Kaiman, then you bench, and then you have the third cup. Then it says in the Mishnah, you're not allowed to drink drinks that
Meshaker.
the Meshaker between the third and fourth case. So he's asking, what do you mean? We just said Eim of Tirach Pesach Avik Kaiman, you're not allowed to eat or drink anything after the Pesach. So what I have to tell you, you're not allowed to drink drinks that make you sugar. So the
Or
truth.
maybe the halacha taught to say that the third cup should not be a cup after make you sugar.
No, that's not. It's explicitly not like that.
Uh-huh.
So like this. Somebody Shainim Tak want to learn that from what you're pointing out to bring a raya that the din of Eim of Tirach Pesach Avik is not said about drinks. It's only about food.
Uh-huh.
But the other Shainim learns also going on drinks. So they'll say
Meshaka, you're not, but regularly yes. Like you're trying to make a kavachom kilo. Don't drink between third and fourth cup yana meshaka, but other stuff you could drink kilo.
say that again.
Don't drink between third and fourth cup yana meshaka.
Right.
But regular stuff you could. That you shouldn't. But regular stuff, yes.
Okay, I hear. Could say like that.
But nevertheless, like you said, the Rebbe says no, don't drink at all.
Right, because that's other Shainim that hold
Not
on.
only
Right.
mashke and shakrim, but not to drink.
Right.
And that's our minute tackle. We don't.
Right. Correct. So again, it says in the Mishnah not to drink mashke
Shakrim?
hamashaka between the third and fourth case.
Right.
So what's the reason? What's the reason for this halacha? So in the Yerushalmi it says the reason for this halacha is because after the third cup, what do you have to do? You still have to finish off halal, and then you have to say the halal gadol, the Haidla Hashems, and then you have to say nishmas, and you have to say yishtabach. So if you're going to drink yain and shakrim, you're going to we're afraid you're going to fall asleep, and you're not going to finish off. I just drank the first three cases. He says like this. The Yerushalmi says that wine that you drink in the Seder or before the Seder is not mashak. It's only wine that you drink later. So that's why once you drink the third cup right after the Seder, that's it. Don't drink anymore because it's going to make you fall asleep. In the... Sorry?
We only drink two
Two
cups.
cups, yeah.
We only drink cups. They didn't say to eat the Suda after 4 cups, it says it's after the second cup.
The date's 20%, but the first 2 coaches are 20%.
I said it, sorry, the
I'm
Zayde,
just saying.
the Rav Zayde said in Russia they had no wine. So they took, what is it called,
Simukim?
raisin.
Raisin.
And it was so bad that by the second cup, everybody was drunk. They couldn't go to the third cup.
So why did they water it down more?
You're not allowed to mix.
What?
It's already watered down. It's already watered down.
They were machmir.
It's already watered down. It's smooth, man.
Sugar.
It soaks it.
The sugar. Yeah.
So it's like a missile bubba, no, I mean.
The amplified.
They had no wine.
That's
They had no wine.
That's
There was
what
no
they-
wine.
wrong wine.
It's not.
And also to wine.
Go up on the first
What?
one.
Vodka? How about then in Russia is vodka?
You're allowed to eat.
Okay, so I just want to
Okay.
continue with just finish off the.
Right.
So that's one reason given from the Yishalmi. Some Yishalmi bring another reason because there's an issue to be moisev ala kaisis. Chacham Rasakim 4 kaisis. Some Yishalmi want to learn that therefore it's the Chacham Rasakim 4 and not more.
Right.
So if you add another kais of wine, it looks like you're adding. If this is according to this pshat, it's not only wine that's aser, it's also any drink that's chamar medina that technically could be yaitze, a case of kiddush with it. It also looks like
It looked like eating go
Right.
vodka.
right. But the main reason brought in Shulchan Aruch is because not to cause you to fall asleep.
I said it last night, but the Rebbe Seuda, when he was eating up since 70, was guest. And somebody said middle the meal, that means with the second and third cup, the Rebbe L'chaim. The Rebbe didn't answer that. So later on he was like, he said, if you don't look like you moist another cup. You're
Yeah.
allowed to drink, but it shouldn't look like
Right.
you moist.
Yeah,
That's the strong was
Give it
there.
them.
He says somebody else is.
Okay, so again, so we discussed there's an issue to eat after the Pesach, so you shouldn't lose the time of the Pesach. We discussed that you shouldn't drink things that cause you to fall asleep between the third and fourth kais, in order that you should say halal. What happens once I'm done the Haggadah? I said the finish of halal, I said nishmas, I said yishtabach, I drank the fourth kais. Am I allowed to drink more wine?
You're moist already.
Sorry?
Now you're gonna
We
be
have
moist.
another problem, the taste of the African.
Right, okay, so that's also a problem, but do I have to worry about falling asleep? I already said halal, right? If I'm just discussing this mission that says you're not drinking the third or fourth case, so it's seemingly the only reason is because you should. It says in the Mishnah between the third or fourth case because of halal, but it is brought on the Yishayim that we're machmir even after the fourth case. Why? Because we said earlier that there's a chiyuv of an entire night until the sleep is coming upon you. To be misapis time and to be deidish in the halachas of Pesach.
Once you're drunk.
So by you drinking extra wine, you're going to cause yourself to fall asleep earlier. So you're shortening your mitzvah. So you're not allowed to go and shorten your mitzvah. Interesting. There's one halacha that you have to misapis time to finish in. There's another halacha that we naman from the Yishayim we naman that you shouldn't even cause yourself to fall asleep earlier. So even if you're done the Seder, according to Shulchan Aruch, you have to sit and continue until. But most people, once you're done the Seder, you're already falling asleep.
The only thing you're allowed to do is moisek the fifth cup.
Yeah.
So I'll avoid it also how to.
Right, and pour back. Yeah. Okay. What happens if so? According to this, regarding this halacha, if someone taka already feels like he's falling asleep, so he's already ready to go to bed, then he's taka going to be allowed to drink more wine because then he'll be allowed to drink more wine.
What do you mean? After the 4 cups?
Yeah.
You feel like you fall asleep?
Yeah.
So
Then
why should you drink more wine?
he likes wine.
What we said is going to take away the taste of the summer.
Oh, okay. So now, okay. So what? So now, what comes to mind? So you're saying a good point. So, we discussed 2 things here. We discussed about the tamatz and we discussed about making yourself fall asleep. So what's the negel ma'aser? The negel ma'aser is like this. Obviously, we have to be machmer on the tamatz, but we said earlier the tamatz is only the first night. The second night you don't have to worry about the tamatz, but the halach of not making yourself fall asleep is also the second night.
Right.
Number 1. Number
That you don't have to have Hamasa.
I'm not sure exactly. It's a very interesting. The lashon is that even though all the other halachas, the first day and the second is the same, this is different. Not sure why.
Also not part of the Fuchat.
Yeah, these two things.
It's not.
These are the only
Second
things.
is not for it.
That was not my thing a second.
No, but
Correct.
the opposite.
Correct.
Always much after Chatzot.
Correct.
Much more. After
These are the only things. These are the only things that we're not. The first day and the second day is not the same. So number one on the second day, you don't. So again, we have two halachas. We have the halach of Ein Meftirach Pesach. We have the halach of not making fall asleep. But sometimes the halach of Ein Meftirach Pesach doesn't apply either because of the second night, or we already said if someone's very, very, very thirsty, right? First of all, sorry. First of all, we're allowed, but water's not going to make you fall asleep. But we said if someone's very, very thirsty, first of all, some Rishonim hold that you're allowed. In the Rishonim, some Rishonim hold you're allowed to drink wine. Mitzad the tam, mitzad the taste of matzah, you're allowed to drink wine. You're only not allowed to eat. Drinking you're allowed. We naman l'maisa, halach l'maisa, that l'chatchila you shouldn't drink wine or any strong drink. But if you're very, very thirsty, you're allowed to drink wine. So mitzad halach there are cases where you're allowed to drink wine. But even so, it's asur mitzad halacha of not making yourself fall asleep. So that's why these two halachas are negeya. L'maisa, these two halachas are negeya. Second.
I want to go back to the beginning when we start and when we finish. What's the shiur amarbe? Like it's a revis, it's a 2 hours. Like what's a marbe?
It's saying it says in Shulchan Aruch Ad shetechtafei neshena. Until this is what it's brought from the Rishonim. Until the sleep is pulling upon you.
Why don't you make a bracha shekel to show them so it's not al sipi tzis mitzrayim? Because it's like Mashir.
Right, that's one of the answers given. Yeah. Right. But in Shulchan Aruch it says.
Others say it's Gal Yisrael. The bracha is Gal Yisrael.
Right. Others say that you don't say a bracha on a Shabbat if the home. Yeah. But in Shulchan Aruch it brings this lashon is about in Shulchan Aruch that chayiv adam nasa kol leila behachas pesach v'tzis t'sayim. What's happening is in Floish asa kadosh baruch hu v'seina ad shetechtafei neshena. Says, but once it's techtafei neshena, and you're already not chayiv. And he says, interesting because of that, then you're allowed to drink wine already because you're chayiv. By now the chayiv already you're not mechuyev.
Yeah, you're sleeping. You're going to drink wine after sleeping.
In bed.
Some people like wine. Okay, let's just finish off over here.
It's a Siri Kodesh. Thank you.
Chris, you tell me you don't need.
No, now you are Siri Kodesh.
Exactly.
We always need you.
That's
good.
Okay, but so we said like this. Yeah, so we said that. 1 second. So what happens if someone's very, very, very thirsty, right? And the only drink in his house today it doesn't really happen because everyone has water, everyone has a tap. But what if someone's very, very thirsty and he only has wine in the house? So seemingly you're not allowed to drink something that's going to make you fall asleep. But it says in Shulchan Aruch, you're very, very thirsty and you don't have any other drink, so we're always going to be matter to you, naturally we're matter to drink. And even though according to some Rishonim it's mivatal tamatza, we're always going to matter you to drink wine, which could make you fall asleep if you're very, very thirsty.
But you must have in 4 cups.
But there's another issue, like you mentioned, that we mentioned some Rishonim Meisif. So this is the Shulchan Aruch. We're going to be matter for you because it's not so clear about this halacha of Meisif, but it says something very interesting. It says, but you have to say this 4th cup on halal. So how do you do this exactly? How do you do it? The 3rd cup you say on the 4th cup you're saying on the rest of halal on yishtabach. Where do you split it? So in some place it says that it's okay. You say the whole halal till yishtabach or including yishtabach.
Drink.
No, not yishtabach without a bracha. You say until yishtabach you drink, and then you say halal again with a bracha yishtabach, and then you drink again. That's what some place can say, and that's how.
With the bracha, which bracha?
Asher Shem says on the
No, the bracha at the end. No, the bracha at the end of the the bracha at the end of Agana.
The last cup. Baruch Hashem Goal Israel. What is the last one?
Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hu, V'tesh V'chais, that bracha?
Yeah. That's what some places. What? Some places can say. Sorry.
So what do? You do it twice?
So some places can say that you could do it twice. Now the Rabbi says not to do it twice. He said if you said the whole halal, then you're in trouble. But he says if you should set yourself up like this. If you know you're going to want another cup and you don't have anything else in your house today, it doesn't really exist. If you don't have anything else in your house besides for wine, and you're very, very thirsty, he says like this: split between what we spoke about earlier, halal mitzri and halal hagadol. He says the halal mitzri we discussed earlier is the regular halal. Called halal mitzri because it's the regular halal we say on all the Yom Tov, but there's one night a year that we say it also by night. Usually once every day. It's the night of Yitzis Mitzrayim, of Pesach. So the Gemara in Brachas refers to it as halal mitzrah. So you say that. So that's the regular halal. Halal gadol is the Hagel Hashem's from Kippur Koflam Vav and Nishmas Nishtabach. So he says, not that it says. Yes, not that it says. Say finish off halal mitzrayim, the regular halal. Drink one kais, and then say halal gadol Nishmas Nishtabach and drink the next kais. You change the nusach. No, you don't have to change the nusach. You'll have to make a hagaf in between, but you don't have to.
You're making another case at the end of the hour, at the end of Nirza.
You always make a case in this. What we're adding is another case in the middle. Add another case in the middle.
After 2 cups, you want to add another cup.
Right, you add one in the middle of hal. Like you stop after you finish the regular hal before you say the Hagel Hashem.
Oh.
Okay.
It's a weird case to want to drink another cup.
Right, yeah. The Allah is some that's istiness and you must drink. Today, most people, first of all, you have water. Second of all, a person already can't have anymore.
7%, 5%, today's not a big deal. Cacao. You buy a bed and you drink it.
Okay, so how much more time do we have? Because I have a few more things to discuss. Okay, so let me
Better than
let me see if maybe I'll say one more. Let's see. I'm going to mention one more thing because we discussed it. We discussed ala seva. Yeah, it's halacha that you have to eat the Karban Pesach ala seva. You have to eat it when you're satisfied.
The second night, you don't know if you, let's say 11 o'clock I finish the Seder and I start Divrei. By 2 o'clock, it's already 3 hours after it. I'm not saving anymore.
What's it? When you say the Divrei, by Magid or by Shulchan Aruch?
Shulchan Aruch.
You say by Shulchan Aruch. So continue eating.
Right?
See, you have to make sure to continue.
No, you get to the what is it called?
The Kemen is right after the Suda.
But 3 hours before I finish the Seder.
So then you should continue eating. You have to make sure that you're not starving when you eat after Kemen. Usually 3 hours later, if you had a good Suda, you shouldn't be starving. You shouldn't be.
It's also a
Right, so I just want to say quickly because it's late. So it says in the Braisa, yeah, we learn out. It says that. You have a Karban Chagiga and Karban Pesach. It says you eat the Chagiga first in order that the Karban Pesach should be nachal al seiv. It should be eaten satisfied. So first you eat the Karban Chagiga. You eat a bit. You're not starving, and then you're satisfied with the Karban Pesach. And Rashi explains, and this is the idea that eating al seiv. What's the concept of eating al seiv? Al seiv is that it's a chashav way of eating. A person's very hungry, eats very quickly. It's not a chashav way of eating. But you're not supposed to show up to a fancy dinner starving, or you eat slowly. But the main course is supposed to be after an appetizer. You're supposed to eat it as a.
The main course in a fancy dinner is very, very small.
Yeah.
Medafka.
Right.
They gave you shmegam before so much, you don't eat anymore.
Right. That is just eat as a. This is the chashuv piece eat at the end. So. Right, so why? What is this? So the truth is that this halacha really exists by all kachim. All kachim are supposed to be eaten in the chashuv way, and al seva. So really applies to every carbon. So it should be on the chagiga just like in the Karban Pesach, right? We're saying you eat the chagiga first, or the Pesach should be al seva. Why? Because you have to eat, because it's a kachim have to be chashuv. No, chagiga is also kachim. So in the Yerushalmi it says that there's a special akpad by Pesach. What's the akpad by Pesach? Because one of the halachas by Pesach is etzem l'sishim b'ruba. You're not allowed to crack any of the bones. Therefore, it says the Yerushalmi, we have to make sure that the Karban Pesach isn't eaten when you're hungry. Because if you're hungry, you can start scraping and you may crack the bone. So the chagiga, l'chura there's no such halacha. So you can have it first. And then the second, but the Korban Pesach, which you're afraid of, that's when it says Rabbi. Therefore, you have to make sure you're already satisfied. You won't. But there's some shits that hold that even the Chagiga, there's such a thing. Some Yisraelim hold that even Chagiga, there's a issa to be sheva atzim. So according to those Yisraelim, you have to say it's not connected with atzim and isish b'rabbi. But Yisham makes explain the reason why it's to be ala seva is in order that you should be satisfied. You shouldn't come to crack any bones. That's one halacha. So on the one hand, it has to be eaten, like we said, satisfied. On the other hand, like we said, it's brought that it shouldn't be eaten. You shouldn't be stuffed, because if you're stuffed, then you're not going to have any taiva. And the mitzvah has to be chashav, you have to do with the taiva.
The taste not going to be mark.
Yeah, this is everything discussed till now. One interesting, with this I'll finish, one interesting addition, it's brought in a taisvis and it's brought in halacha, that what happens if I'm stuffed? Am I yet to the mitzvah or am I not yet to it? So it says, okay, l'chatchila you should eat it not stuffed, but if you eat it, if you're stuffed, it's fine. It's not the best way to do, but it's fine. What if I'm so stuffed that it's nafshe katza b'chilazu? You can't stand it. It says you're not yet. It says Tosa says, and some other Rishonim is brought in halacha that if you can't stand it, it doesn't. It's not called achila. It doesn't have a halachic shivas of achila, and you're not yet to the mitzvah. So something people have to be careful. Shouldn't be too stuffed. But it's a problem because you're eating afterwards, and then you're not keeping the taste. You're eating a whole suda.
If you can't eat after kind, that's what that you ate.
It could be the but I'm saying there are such things. There's also there is such a.
People looking at it a lot of matters. So
You're saying b'diavad.
Why is this a fine line? How many people got stuff when they eat after kind?
So you should try to make sure you don't eat such a big suda. B'diavad, you maybe read the b'diavad you could be yaitze, but is that the way? I'm saying it's a very after a chashuv mitzvah. It should be yaitze b'diavad. It's something to be careful.
You just want a matzah and bowl. It's nice you get down.
Then you yaitze. But if it's nafshek
down,
katza,
even
the lashon is nafshek katza.
Where's nafshek katza? You're going to barf. Let's say you're going to down it. You are going to down it, which is everybody does, right? You're going to eat the kazayas or two kazayas. One for the matzah, one for
two kazayas. You don't need so much.
Yeah, but you need one.
But you eat it. Yeah, but I'm saying the halacha you should eat.
Sorry.
You look, you're a skinny guy. Some people.
That it's a hard knife.
It's very hard because you're in the suda and then the mice I think if you ate it you're not immersed.
This is the lashon. It's brought from the. It's brought into Aval Kishain Misava Klal. Va'eichel Harezu Achila Gasa. If you have no interest whatsoever, and you're just forcing yourself, it's called Achila Gasa. Sorry, I take it back. I'll just read the lashon. Kishain Misava Klal. If you don't have any taiva, va'eichel, and you eat it. Is a reza achila gasa, ve'ein ze mitzvah mufar, aval mekom yetzi de chevase b'achila. Aval im saveya kol kach, you're so satisfied, ache nafshek katza b'achila zu, that you're disgusted.
What does that mean?
I don't know what it means, but you want to do the mitzvah right, try to make sure that there shouldn't be a chash nafshek katza. Even though you forced yourself and it went down, it
says if somebody did the whole Seder and you break.
This is brought from this is Taisus, and the Magen Avraham brings this. The Magen Avraham brings this. I'm not saying you could be yaitz with the yavis with the other chilas. I'm just saying try not to eat so much.
Parents, you want to be a husband tonight? You got it already. What time? You want to be a husband?
I down slow. You're going to be drunk.
It's okay.
Don't worry.
And some of them were in the policies.
Okay, also Tag is sicher sein that should be sicher to the discussing the matzah, the zeichel to the Korban Pesach, zeichel Tag is sicher sein this year we shot the Korban Pesach the b'meir v'meinu.
Yeah,
Chag kosher v'sameach. Koyach.
Yeah, Kasher Pesach.
So he's in the college, if I learn, if I was told to move.
No.